it's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, this is Ivy Slater. Welcome to today's episode of Her Success Story. I have an amazing guest and a woman that I can tell you, ladies, and the few gentlemen who listen to us, that we could just get on a call and forget to record a podcast episode because we just get to talking. She's interesting. She's dynamic. She's a leader in a space that I respect and absolutely adore. Most importantly, she's warm, she's genuine, and Elizabeth Samara-Rubio is somebody to lean in and learn from. Her background spreads across many technology sectors. Elizabeth brings a unique perspective from various high-level leadership roles, including 10 years at Accenture and AWS, leading the global GTM AI specialist team to adopt and scale AI services. 15 years after founding her own clean energy startup, she is back with an early-stage standout. Elizabeth is smart, approachable, and just somebody you want to have a conversation with. Elizabeth, thank you for joining me here today on Her Success Story.
Thank you, Ivy. That was an incredible welcoming. Look forward to our time together.
So I have to ask, I love women leaders in technology. You are not new to this. How did this become your focus, your career, your journey?
Yes. So technology as part of my journey started well over 20 years ago. I share a lot with you, Ivy, in the sense that learning and that cadence of learning is essential to my growth. It wasn't about career paths. It wasn't about titles. It was about finding meaning in what I was going to do for the next few decades. And technology had the fastest and I think the steepest vector that I can find. That's how I got into it. I made a deliberate choice to go into something that would keep me learning for the rest of my life.
You were with Accenture for a long time, AWS. How has that journey started to mold where you are today?
When I started with Accenture, it was at a time where they were launching a new practice called Industry X, and they were looking to embed more technology into sectors within organizations that just perhaps had maybe plateaued in the recent past. For example, embedded products in consumer appliances like your coffee maker, for example, or your television. Then there was the engineering sector. Lots of good systems out there, but perhaps with some of the new AI capabilities, there was a way to introduce something called like the digital twin or the digital thread. And then the last sector, which was manufacturing, yes, they had all these systems for decades, but the next chapter in manufacturing was going to be more AI, more automation. So that was the beginning of my time with Accenture. It was a new practice that was getting its legs going in areas where it's all about embedding the next generation of technology.
And I love how you reference AI as truly automation.
Yes.
Because I think there's so much, well, I'm going to be cautious in what I say here, but I'll rephrase this and say there is some fear around the advancement of AI being the replacement of human and the importance of humans in business.
I understand, Ivy. And yes, it just opened, right? There's been that fear. Even this morning, I had a conversation with a man who wanted to spend 10 minutes just talking about how people are fearing what could be happening already, right? And I think for me, the number one thing is subject matter experts, what we do well, what we focus on, that is not to be replaced. That is to be augmented. And that's really, even for myself, I'll use some tools to just make, for example, creating a table or doing some first brush research a little bit more efficient. I'll take 1 hour less time to do something when it comes to that type of task anytime. But really, it's around augmentation. And for us, it's keep true to our art. And the only way to keep true to our art is keep learning it and keep getting better at it. These tools for AI, where they are today, it's all just trying to just augment what we're trying to do in terms of tasks.
It's so true. I mean, I speak with so many of my clients about leaning into AI.
Yes.
And I'm like, it is not going to replace you, but the efficiency and productivity.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
A few weeks ago, right before the holidays, right, which seems like a few weeks ago. I hope it was a few weeks ago. I had to do a proposal for something, and that would have normally taken me several hours. And I was like, but I knew everything. But by the time I pulled it and I went to and I was like, but I know it all here, but I have to go check that. And I was like, wait a second. If I put in everything I know and just pull two different as opposed to 10, and I put it, what would I get out? And I said, let me do this as an experiment. And I downloaded verbally
All right.
because I'm more of a natural speaker than writer.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Hence our success story, people. And what came back was like, wow, I just saved over 2 hours of my time.
Yeah. That's absolutely true, Ivy. So similar situation, end of the year, everybody's doing postmortems. Everybody's getting their business plans ready for the
Yeah.
upcoming year. And a lot of that is doing competitive research. I was like,
Exactly.
oh my goodness, there's so much information out there. And I used one of the tools and I put in a couple of names and I said, put me to quantitative research, not just the qualitative statements. And I saved myself nearly as much as your time. And it was right there. I didn't have to search for the best results from scratch. It was already narrowed down for me. So I can just point to the resource right there and I can double click there and I can start looking at the numbers directly.
When we look at efficiencies, we look at productivity, it's like all of a sudden it's like, wow, 2 hours. What can I do with this time? Right?
Yeah,
I could go out and take a walk for an hour. Right? Not all of it has to be work related, right? What can I do for my business and what can I do for myself?
that's right. That's right. That's right. I'll put a little levity on that. One thing is, can it help me get faster in my swimming? Please. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. No, but absolutely true. Back to your point about AI and fear. It's really about remain your SME. That's your art. Number two, engage with the tools. It is an efficiency gain. Not all of them, but most of them so far are. It'll help us. And like number three, like you and I just stated, gives us an hour to go do something we want to do, also personally, perhaps.
Right. And I think as working women, we have to remember to do something nice for ourselves. And I know you're a mom, you're a woman with a lot of responsibility in all directions. I mean, we talk working momsville. How have you navigated or what do you have for our listeners? Like the whole working mom thing is a life adventure.
Oh
And I
yeah.
don't care if your kids are adults or babies, it's a life adventure.
That's so true. It started, I would say, a long time ago to any female or male. Choose your partner wisely because you're going to want to accomplish a lot of things and to accomplish a lot of things, that flexibility, that understanding, that commitment to each other, that you're going to help each other grow and that you're going to do some interesting Pilates along the way. Um, that is all that takes the right partner and it's bi-directional, right? We do it for our partners do it for us. And that adventure would be incomplete if it wasn't for my husband.
What has helped you navigate kind of like the concept of being there for everyone all the time?
Mm, maybe it's like you knew my morning. Um,
Well, it's similar to my morning, actually.
yeah, exactly, exactly. It's exactly that. I think the number one thing for me that has helped me being there for people is being deliberate with my attention.
Hmm.
I'm here, not thinking about all the other things that are going to happen before this or after this. It's a deliberate intention, and I think people in one, it helps me make better decisions because I'm here. It also helps me build better relationships because it helps people feel like they're valued, you know? Yeah. I think that's all people want is just feeling like you're there for them.
I think you're hitting a nail on the head because I can agree more. When people know
Yeah.
that you're there for them.
Yeah.
And that they have the support, the resources, and that is every person, meaning from your team, your
Yes.
coworkers,
Yes.
your children, your spouse, your friends. It's that ripple effect of all your relationships, and that people know that you're hearing them, not just listening to them, but hearing them.
That's right, Ivy. Absolutely. Some of my more senior people on my team, for example, I said, my job is to give you the resources to unblock you, to help you achieve your greatness. I go, that's it. I like to think of myself, I'm not a micromanager. Like that's not me. Set direction, help people set their direction, and help people to become the success that they want to become. And to your point, it's resources. It's helping them think through things. That's what I'm here for.
I love it. And it's being a resource for and knowing, and the people surrounding us knowing that we're here as a resource,
Right.
and having the trust that they'll reach out because they trust.
They trust. Oh, trust is and it's such an important thing. One of the things when I first started this role, one of the things I talked about in my first interview was about moving fast. And I said, but we've got to be careful. Can't move fast if you don't have the trust of the team.
Yeah.
And the trust it's not built over years. It has to be built over weeks, right? In a startup, you don't have, oh, I've been here for 10 years. Or I've been here for 5 years. I've been here for 2 weeks. Or I've been here for 5 months. And that ability to build that trust is letting people know exactly what you and I are talking about. I'm here for you. And let's give each other the benefit doubt. If something doesn't seem like to connect right away at first, let's just talk through that. But these are little mechanisms, right? To your point around trust, you can't get far and you can't get there fast if we don't have that.
Let's talk a little bit where you are now,
Yes.
the company. Share
Sieme
it.
AI.
So tell us like what this company is about and what work you're doing and leading these days.
Sieme AI, its goal is to help companies be able to deploy their AI applications on the edge. And what that means is it could be a device, a personal device that you use, or it could be like an enterprise, they call it industrial personal computers, or they can call them robotics, drones. These types of devices are increasingly using AI capabilities, and our silicon and our software is helping organizations do that. What I do here as a chief business officer is all the way from helping our sales team get ready for an amazing, and to use your words, spectacular 2025, right?
Love it.
Get them ready to go. But I develop assets with the customer in mind, right? It's always about, it's like what you do for us who speak with you, Ivy. It's making the customer feel they're stepping into a conversation and ultimately an adventure, because it's still an adventure with AI, that's going to be with a trusted partner. So right now, my job is get the sales team ready to have that journey with our customers. We develop the products for that. So I oversee product management. We develop the system overviews, which help customers think beyond just an AI capabilities, the entire system. So I manage solution architects, the application engineers who deliver that experience on a daily basis with our partners and with our customers. And then all of the marketing that goes with that to help people know who we are and why SiMa versus maybe the next alternative. So marketing, product management, solution architects, application engineering, and partners.
So you have a small position.
Oh, yes. Oh, small.
Just take a few hours a day.
No problem. We got this.
How truly do you navigate the responsibility that's on your shoulders with work and the responsibility of being a mom? I mean, a working parent. We're leading in everything we do these days. How do you manage that responsibility? Any tips or advice you have for some of our listeners?
Yes. Depends on where you're in your career. So I'll start where I am today and
Mm-hmm.
maybe just touch upon when I was earlier in my career. Today is making sure I've hired the right team. The right team will make me more productive, but it'll also make me more available for my family. There's no epiphany, right? There's no perfection. Yes, I work sometimes a couple hours on Sunday because I want to prepare for the week. But that's balanced, that's planned for. So the advice there is at my level, hire the right team so that you can have that room. Other things in my level is set expectations with my family. It's not like I
Tell
go,
me more about that.
oh, absolutely. I kid you not. My husband's like, he's like, why are you telling me that? Because I need you to know that for the next 2 hours, I'm going to be in a zone and I'm not going to be able to like context switch. So I'm going to be in a zone. So I'm going to close the door between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. And then I'll come out and I'm going to be done. And he's like, okay. So the kids know that. My husband knows that. And that for those 2 hours, it's been a purpose.
Right.
I'm busy. And that's how I set expectations. That way, hey, mom, or hey, honey, doesn't come into for those 2 hours. And then that helps me also say, hey, am I ready to do the best with the 2 hours I'm taking during weekends to do my best productive self? I kid you not. That is how I do it because I feel any other way, like hiding somewhere and going somewhere and trying to sneak in a little email here or there.
It doesn't work. It's too stressful because
It's tough.
you have one part of yourself sitting doing the work and one part of yourself waiting for the interruption.
Yes.
And it's coming.
Yes. You bet it's coming, Ivy. It's coming. It's too stressful and it never comes out the way I really want it to come out because I wasn't 100% here nor there.
Yeah.
So I set expectations with my family.
I love that. And I think when we fall into that habit, then we're setting expectations with our family. We're setting expectations with our team. We're setting expectations within ourselves when it
Yes.
becomes that habit, which is
Yeah.
the golden gift.
Yes, the habit. Yes.
Yeah.
And I did, trust me, it took practice. We learn more about ourselves through, the mistakes sometimes we have to recover from. So that's my way to not feel guilty taking those 2 hours is to be deliberate.
To be deliberate. I like it. I really like it. You're a woman leader in an area that is very much of a male dominated space.
Yeah.
How have you navigated it? What has worked for you
Yes.
in building and owning this career?
Yes. I would say top two things that kind of come to mind, Ivy, is always stepping in and saying, yes, I can. And yes, I will. And not being afraid. Like, I think you've seen the research as much as I have that sometimes us as women sometimes look for meeting certain levels of expectations before we jump in. That research was great when it first came out, I don't know, 5+ years ago. I was like, the only way I navigated my career was jump in. And you just learn because, yeah, I got a bump in my shoulder and I got a bump on my knee and, maybe some stitches here and there, but it was worth it. No regrets. I learned, I moved forward. And that has helped me in, like you said, in a space and it's still dominated by men because men will do that. They'll just jump in and figure it out. And I'm like, I'm going to figure it out. So, it reminds me like when I first turned 30, I decided I made a goal for myself. I'm going to go play soccer. And my husband's like, but you never played soccer before. I did as a kid with my dad. He's like, but you never played soccer before. And I'm like, I know, but I'm a good runner. I like basketball, so I know how to cut. I like chasing balls, so let's go. So I did. I jumped in, and my coach was his name was Aldo, and he was at that time the youngest male who had ever played on an Olympic team in soccer.
Wow.
Coached us, an all women team, and then co-ed. So I was like, jump in. I'll figure it out. I took a lot of balls in the stomach, but I got it.
There's that learning curve.
It hurt. But no, seriously, it's jump in and trust yourself. You will get through it.
And I think there's a lesson there in being willing to jump into spaces that we don't know everything about. Say yes and figure things out. So I don't want to be misconstrued here. It doesn't mean like lying about yourself. That's not where I'm going. It's about trusting and having the confidence in your knowledge and stretching.
That's right. Absolutely. And stretching. And that's a elasticity, right? I always told, like, even to my kids, I go, you will work very hard in high school, you work very hard in undergrad and grad school, etc. But the biggest thing you have to learn is to learn how to learn. Yeah. Because everything we're learning right now for the last 12 years in school, great musts. They're like foundational. It won't be enough for the rest of your career. It won't. So learn how to learn. And especially in startups, you have to learn how to learn fast.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons I've had a career where I've balanced big companies and small companies. Like most people don't realize this is my sixth startup. They're like, what? They're like, how did you go from big to small? I'm like, because I find teams in these big companies that are going fast.
Right.
That's my pace, and that's okay. That's what I call my clock speed. And that's okay. We all have different ones, and it's good. Not one is better than the other, but pick your clock speed, go work with that clock speed and make it work. That's you. That's me, right? So that's what I,
And part of that is what I'm hearing is know who you are,
yes, yes,
look in the mirror and know your strengths and own them.
yes. That's right, Ivy. And it's hard. And sometimes as women, looking in the mirror, like looking into our eyes in the mirror can be the hardest thing.
Yes.
Because there's no one else there to interpret what you're saying or communicating with your expression except ourselves. And I
What's that?
done that a couple times in my life. And it's been exactly so I can get to that point where you just said, own my strengths. It was just me and a mirror.
So I have to ask you, what has surprised you in your journey?
I love that question because I know it's going to sound a little like weird, but I've surprised myself.
I don't think that's weird at all. I've shocked the crap out of myself.
Yeah.
Be very honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. It's myself. I mean, I started kindergarten only knowing Spanish in the US. And thank goodness for the elasticity we all have at that age. By the end of the first year, I was well on my way English. And of course, I have to say thank you, Sesame Street. Thank you, Electric Company. But I went from only knowing one language to knowing two languages. And I went from, a mom who worked very hard as a teacher in Chicago. She was a bilingual teacher in Chicago. And teachers, as we all know, they're definitely undervalued. I'll just leave it at that. And I went to college, and as much as she can help me, I had to fill in the blanks. There was a gap. I filled it in. I filled it in for undergrad and I filled it in for grad school. And after all of that, like jumping in, like you said, and just, I know what I want. I got to go get this. I'll figure it out. And I did that for the rest of my career after school. That has surprised me. Until this day, my husband's like, I don't know how you do it. I'm like, honey, when it's the right thing to do, you just go. You figure it out.
I love that. As we close today, what advice or tips do you have for leaders who are navigating and scaling their careers?
Absolutely. First, get your hands dirty. Start using some of those AI tools, right? You might have some explicatives in your journey, but get your hands dirty. It's worth it. And have your own opinion about what this AI stuff is about. There's too much writing about it and, which is not bad, but it's not experience. So get your hands dirty. It's not number one. Number two, surround yourself with people who have opposing views or very different experiences with this AI capability. If you're in manufacturing, in product design, maybe at the very least, go talk to the people who are using AI on the production floor. Or if in your manufacturing, go talk to someone in finance who's using AI already. So expand your network of people who are using AI or are about on the cusp of using AI outside of your own area. The number three thing is, especially if you're younger in your career, let's say you're in your first 10 years, you have 30 more years. You're going to have multiple chapters in your life.
Right.
Start thinking what today's chapter is and what you would want the final chapter to read. Then start writing the in-betweens along the way. And it's not about career. It's not about titles or size of team or compensation. It's about what do you want to do? And then figure out based on that, what role am I going to have with AI?
Yeah. I love what you're saying. I respect it. I know when I speak to younger people within my own family that are in their like first 10 years in the business world, like, I can't think like that. I can't think like that. And I'm like, I know it's hard, but think like one day, what's the legacy you want to leave behind? What's the impact you want to make? And what do you need to know and do? It might not be in the exact order. It's going to shift and change.
It
It's
is.
going to evolve because what we don't know what's going to be in 10 years in a lot of different ways. But if we don't have a clear vision of our values and what's important to us, then we're challenging ourselves in the decision makings that's coming in front of us.
That's right. Ivy, sage advice. Absolutely. That's part of the first 10 years is learning what those values are and did we exercise them the way we had
Right.
hoped.
Elizabeth, I cannot thank you enough for joining me here today on Her Success Story.
Thank you so much, Ivy, for the invitation and our coffee.
And listeners, this is what I say at this point in the show. Take a breath. It just feels so good. And think about joining Elizabeth and I in this conversation today. What is your biggest takeaway? What was something that like, ooh, that made sense? Jot it down and use that as your guiding force for the decisions you're going to make going forward. And if you enjoyed today's show, please share it forward. Hit subscribe. We come into your great podcast apps and the variety of different ones. We're in every platform, I think. And let us come into your inbox every Monday morning. You have something to say? I'm a real human. I'm a person. Just let me know. Reach out to me via LinkedIn or slatersuccess.com. I look forward to many more fabulous episodes as we navigate and grow in 2025 together.
Don't need your approval anymore, 'cause I've got mine.